Mighty God, Lord of all. Even the lowly sparrow finds a home for her brood, and the swallow a nest for herself where she may lay her young. In your altars, my King and my God, how lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all. Blessed are they whose dwelling is your own, Lord of peace. Blessed are they, refreshed by springs and by rain, when dryness daunts and scathes. Behold my shield, my King and my God. Is your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all. I would forsake 1,000 other days anywhere, if I could spend one day in your courts, belong to you alone. My strength are you alone, my glory, my King and my God. Is your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all. How lovely your dwelling place, O Lord, mighty God, Lord of all.
Thank you very much, Juliet. Miss Julieta Manlapas,
Oh, there's
thank you.
another prayer. I I will
Hello,
read
everyone.
the
Oh, I'm
prayer
sorry.
of Miss Mancho. Yes, prayer for faithful stewardship.
Okay.
Almighty God and Father, we thank you for the gift of life and for all the blessings and graces bestowed upon us with the beauty of your creations on earth. As we gather today virtually, let us recognize, cherish, and enjoy the goodness of all your great works which were entrusted to us. Help us, Lord God, to use your gifts wisely for your greater glory, as well as to be good guardians and stewards of these creations for us and for the next generations to come. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much again, Juliet. Miss Julieta Manlapas. Sorry
Thank
for the
you.
overlap. I didn't hear you at first eh. Medyo mahina yung dating. So, do you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes po. Yes, son. Good afternoon, Ma'am Marie.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank
Good
you for
afternoon to
the
everyone.
prayer. Yes. Okay, so hello everyone. Happy New Year. Mainit na pagbati at pagtanggap sa inyong lahat. This is Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum, the longest running environmental forum in the Philippines. And who knows, maybe in the world. Thank you for coming to session number 367 of this forum, held every third Friday of the month since March 1990. In just 2 months, we will be celebrating our 31st anniversary. For the past 8 years, since the responsibility was entrusted to them by the original founders. This forum has been brought to you by Green Convergence, or GC for short, and Kamayan Restaurant, the forum's original and long-time partner. For everyone's information, we are currently live streaming at the GC Facebook page, and the video recording will be uploaded to the GC website and GC YouTube channel for later viewing. I am Marie Marciano of Green Convergence, your forum moderator. And now, I'm very happy to introduce to you my co-moderator, the Executive Director of the Environmental Studies Institute of Miriam College and the Vice President of Green Convergence, Dr. Carlo Garcia. Good afternoon, Carlo.
Hello, good afternoon, Marie. And
Hi.
not late to greet you Happy New Year. And
Yes, Happy New Year.
Yeah, to everyone here, I wish you a kinder and a gentler New Year. Let's all hope for the best. And Marie, it seems that we have a good start for our monthly Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum. And today we have a
Yes.
powerhouse set of speakers, and our Zoom room is filled. I think we are 130 to 134 here right now. And we have a good number from the academe. So shout out to all the teachers and students in the room. I think there are no more chairs available. Yeah, indeed, it's a good start, Marie.
Yeah, I have a friend from New Zealand who messaged me saying that he wanted to register, but it was already closed. So, naisingit ko din. Okay, so I think we have also from different places, no? All over the country. Yun ang maganda sa ating format ngayon. Na, although medyo malungkot kasi it's non-physical, we only see each other on screen, but we are able to reach more people this way. No? Kahit saan sila nandun, they can listen to us, they can watch us, and they can participate.
That's
So,
right.
moving on. Let's hear the opening salvo of the President of Green Convergence, Dr. Nina Galang. Dr. Galang? Your mic is your mic on?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good afternoon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 367th issue of Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum. Marie Marciano was actually one of the originals. She started with this Kamayan. So she's more than 30 years old. Marie also was the immediate past vice president of Green Convergence, and we're happy that she continues her role as our invaluable moderator. Thank you also to Carlo, who is our present vice president of Green Convergence, for always participating as a co-moderator. Okay, like everyone, I hope everyone had a good holiday season, a Christ-filled holiday season with your loved ones, virtual or otherwise, under our very unique circumstances. Whenever we talk of solving our environmental problems, the conventional wisdom is we have to increase the knowledge, awareness, and understanding of people so that they know the situation and will do something about it. However, we also know that for people to be motivated and really committed to environmental care and concern leading to action, we have to touch their emotions. Their heartstrings must be plucked. Well, who would not be inspired by the beauty of nature, the variety of colors, shapes, sizes, sounds, movements of innumerable animals and plants making up the fantastic biodiversity of the world? And these sights and sounds are captured and brought to us by photographers, professional and amateur, who go to the depths of the ocean and the tops of mountains to photograph these landscapes and creatures. When we are so moved, we will want to protect them. And when we learn that they might or their very existence is threatened by pollution, overharvesting, climate change, and other factors, we are challenged to address these threats. So, photographers are among our very important artists. When we hear songs of the environment and they appeal to us, the words stay in our minds and the melody stirs in our hearts. Then they play on over now and then, di ba, when we remember them, and they urge us on our duty to care for our God-given blessings. Singers, creators of songs are also one of our very much appreciated artists. Poems that stoke our imagination with their catchy phrasing and choice of words. Sometimes they're esoteric, but that is their appeal. And again, they go beyond the cerebral, the mind, and they inspire us to love the environment. And who can question the appeal of screen idols who entertain and carry us to flights of fancy for a couple of hours when we watch movies, for example? And when they show social concern with their outreach activities and even with their performances, who can help but notice, be inspired, and follow them? And so we are thankful that we have today artists who are with us in our love for nature, concern for the environment, and use their crafts, photography, singing, poems or poetry, and acting. They use their crafts to further the desire for sustainable development in our country. So we thank our guests and we thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm sure that we will all have a good session again. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you very much. Carlo,
Hi.
do you think you're an artist?
I think so, but still questionable.
Kasi sabi nga ni Nina, it's not of the mind, no? Art is of the heart actually. Kaya nga yung art is contained in the heart. H-E lang yung idadagdag mo, di ba? Heart na siya.
Right.
So, I come from a family of artists. My whole family of 9, I had 9 siblings, no? Uh, 6 na lang ngayon. So, pero usually sinasabi nila very temperamental ang mga artists, artists emotional, kung ano-ano. No? But in our family, we were taught to be what? Disciplined artists. So, siguro ikaw ganon, I guess. Kaya you're medyo sinasabi mong you're an artist, but because you don't have the... Di ba? Siguro, tingin ko ikaw ganun ka. No, you're an artist at heart, but tempered and disciplined by your mind.
Yeah.
Kasi academician ka din eh. So
Right.
that's a good balance. No?
Yeah.
Pero actually, the world has been changed a lot by artists, no? Uh, who did revolutionary songs, revolutionary poems, dance, music, plays, everything, you know. I remember during the time of Marcos, before I became a political detainee, I was with the drama group, the theater, which was called PETA. No? So
That's
I did
right.
many plays before, and then I got incarcerated, and then wala na, I got pulled into the human rights movement. So nawala na si theater, but my art remains in my soul, I think. So now this topic is really very close to my heart because there's a lot of things that artists can really do for society and for the environment. No? So, but before we go to discussing our topic and before we introduce our guests, we have to, you know, go through the usual, how do we do this kind of thing. Yung mga dati na, ilang beses nyo na narinig ito, but for the sake of those who are new here, I have to reiterate the process so that there are no misunderstandings and there is no confusion. Okay, so our forum is divided into as three major parts. The first part is when the uh, resource speakers make their presentations, they give their talks. During that time, participants may write down their questions so that they don't forget because questions will not be taken after each presentation. Instead, questions, all the questions will be entertained or will be taken during the second part. So second part, puro questions lang ng participants. We will take all the questions, kokolektahin natin yung questions na yan. And this is the time when the resource speakers will also make their notes para hindi nila makalimutan kung ano yung mga questions that they need to answer. And then, on the third portion, that is when all these questions will be answered. So we're back to the resource speakers again to answer all the questions. So that's the way it's going to be. I hope that's clear. And so we will not entertain questions. Don't raise your hands when we are in the first part. Next, I think, Carlo, Carlo, ikaw naman. You also have your own reminders.
Okay. Yes, reminders. To avoid distracting ambient noise, ito yung mga tilaok ng manok, tahol ng aso, tunog ng electric fan.
Yeah.
All participants are auto-muted for the duration of the webinar, except, of course, during the open forum, when participants are welcome to share thoughts and ask questions. I will tell you the details on how you can participate in the open forum later. But for the meantime, you may use the chat box for comments, reactions, or messages. Marie?
Okay, so now we're ready to move on. Okay, part 1 na tayo ah. Exciting. Our first speaker is someone who, when an important board meeting got in the way of his joining us live today, offered to prepare a video message so that he could still participate in this forum. That's very much appreciated. Although he's well known and widely popular, many will be pleasantly surprised to learn that this is one celebrity who cares for society and the environment and actually does something about it. Jose Sixto G. Dantes III is regarded today as one of the country's most versatile and consummate artists. His more than 3 decades of work spans from modeling, performing, hosting, and acting to directing and producing films through his own film studio Agosto Dos Pictures. In 2009, he founded and chaired Yes Pinoy Foundation Inc., or YPF, to champion Filipinos' empowerment, responsible citizen participation, and resilience building. Through partnerships and volunteerism, YPF has trained around 32,000 young people in climate action, disaster preparedness, and leadership. He has distributed more than 2,000 go bags, led disaster response operations and relief drives for communities affected by calamities like Typhoon Yolanda and the pandemic. Dong also served as Commissioner at Large of the National Youth Commission. In 2015, he spearheaded the hashtag NowPH campaign that resulted in 3.6 million pledges for the historic COP21, or the uh, Climate Change Summit of the United Nations. And the issuance of proclamations declaring November 25 of every year as the National Day for Youth in Climate Action and ASEAN Youth in Climate Action and Disaster Resilience Day. Whew. At present, Dong chairs Actor. That's a League of Filipino Actors, an organization formed by artists not only to champion their causes, but also to advocate alongside other principal organizations the furtherance of a fair and just society. Friends, we are proud to present Dingdong Dantes.
Una po sa lahat, gusto ko po magpasalamat sa Green Convergence for inviting me to be part of the Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum. It is unfortunate that I cannot join this online event live today because of an urgent and equally important commitment, but I am grateful and honored to be able to speak to the group on behalf of the entertainment industry and the Yes Pinoy Foundation. So, for the last 11 years, we at the Foundation have been proactively implementing initiatives that seek to educate, empower, and engage Filipinos and communities on disaster preparedness, climate action, and responsible citizenship. We too have supported disaster response and relief operations in partnership with the Philippine Navy and the Philippine Marines and a lot of generous organizations and individuals. So just last year, YPF worked hand in hand with Actor, the League of Filipino Actors, and several Catholic dioceses to launch a massive relief drive for Bicol, Cagayan, Isabela, and Metro Manila because of the series of typhoons that battered the country. So while the pandemic cripples the whole world, the Philippines is not spared from the wrath of Mother Nature, or should I say from the negative consequences of our own doings and inaction. During that time, my gut instinct said that we should reactivate the conversation about us and the environment amidst the global health crisis. Maswerte po ako dahil may mga taong may malalim na kaalaman, experience at influence ang naniwala at tumaya sa idea na yon. So in partnership with FIGHT, it's an independent media outfit, former Climate Change Commission Secretary Lucille Sering, the Climate Change Commission, Actor, and other celebrity advocates, we were able to organize an online dialogue entitled Now What? Climate Action Now PH, which generated more than 33,000 views from the FIGHT Facebook page alone. So That conversation sparked so much interest because of advocates like si Atom Arroyo, si Angel Locsin, si Kuya Kim Atienza, Antoine Eltos, Ria Ataide, si Bayaw Jun Sabayton, and Jasmine Curtis Smith, who lent their voice to simplify the topic and make it highly relatable. This is also what I and our team have personally witnessed in the years of launching campaigns on climate action and resilience building. Kung gagawan ko nga ng acronym yung 3 main secret ingredients ng communication strategies na ginawa namin. Ito ay ACT. ACT. So ACT stands for authenticity, creativity, and transformation. These artists have their respective spheres of influence, but what's evident is that the most effective champions are those who walk the talk and are consistently passionate about the cause. Si Kuya Kim, si Atom, and Angel have been in the front lines for years already, and we cannot deny their authenticity and sincerity on the advocacy. Pero meron din tayo mga resource people na totoong nakaranas ng pandemic at ng disaster. Their stories of struggle and triumph provided greater authenticity to the conversation and to the message that we are trying to convey to the public. Now that you have the right heart and the right and accurate message, how do you execute them? Here's where creativity plays a very crucial role. Noong 2017, Yes Pinoy Foundation launched the I Am Super campaign. It is a disaster resilience campaign for vulnerable public schools and communities in the country. Together with Taklob, a group of bag makers who are also Typhoon Yolanda survivors, we co-designed a school backpack with a raincoat and an emergency kit. So sinimulan namin ito kasabay ng GMA7 show namin dati na alias Robin Hood. Kasi yung bag may hood din siya. At kapag nilagyan ng 2 empty bottles ang side pockets ng backpack, nagiging parang floating device din ito. So meron din itong basic survival items, good for 3 days. This campaign helped us provide more than 2,000 go bags to the Aita communities living in the upland areas of Pampanga and to an island community in Masbate where teachers and some students have to travel by boat every day among other beneficiaries. So the campaign also empowered differently abled youth who learned to create bags and became employees of Taklob later on. Communicating and addressing climate action and disaster preparedness need out-of-the-box ideas and various platforms. And this is just one of the examples where we try to be inventive. This also leads me to another example. So in 2015, we launched #NowPH or Not on Our Watch Philippines, a government and youth-led climate action and disaster resilience movement. This is where I first partnered with Sec Lucille and Kuya Kim. Doon kami unang nagkakilala. And the movement in support of the Paris Agreement was able to consolidate more than 3.6 million pledges of climate action, which we presented to climate vulnerable forum leaders and the Secretary of State of the French government who sat as the president of COP21. So we tapped online and offline communication strategies and tools in order to simplify and amplify the message. Personalities and celebrities helped out. We used the power of mainstream media and of course social media. We used technology and apps to speak the language of the youth. We had concerts, may mga fun runs, and we even created a 2,000 strong human banner in Rizal School in Pasig. All of these were made possible because of the genuine call from the youth and other stakeholders. Their imagination, their artistry, and their leadership, of course, yung kanilang involvement, wow. And this is where transformation is realized. We saw young leaders organizing events and inspiring movements in their respective schools and communities. Their involvement became so powerful that we had a presidential issuance declaring every November 25, taon-taon as the National Day for Youth in Climate Action. At inadapt nito ng ASEAN, having their own proclamation na tinatawag na Youth in Climate Action and Disaster Resilience Day. So yun. At hanggang ngayon, patuloy itong nagsisilbing inspirasyon ng mga climate action and disaster preparedness programs na isinasagawa sa foundation. These are just a few examples on how an authentic, creative, and transformative engagement can create waves of change. Pero ang isa pang malinaw sa mga example na ito ay ang realidad na hindi lang mga aktor, hindi lang artists, celebrities, or influencers ang may kakayahang maging malikhain at makapagbigay ambag sa lipunan. Because every one of us, especially the young ones, the youth, has the capacity to produce creative outcomes that can make a positive difference. We just really need to continue being curious, constructively critical, and progressive. We just need to nurture that desire to be of help to others, and we just need to act on that gut instinct or urge to contribute no matter how small or how grand it may be. At bilang pangwakas, I would like to share po with you a quote from one of my favorite leadership authors, si Chris Lowney. Sabi niya, heroism lies in the nobility of committing to a way of life that focuses on goals that are greater than oneself. These authentic, creative, and transformative contributions to the society are manifestations of the heroes that live within each and every one of us. So dahil po dyan, maraming salamat po sa inyo. At sana mag-iingat po kayo parati.
Thank you, Dingdong. I hope you can hear me. I was completely in a fun mode while listening, and I am so sure that most of us here had the same state. But seriously, influencers like you and the other artists that you have mentioned can make a big difference in transforming our society and in restoring the lost integrity of our environment. Sana all, sana all artists are like you. But it is inspiring to know that there's a lot. Now, speaking of inspiring artists, we have another one with us today, and he will give us a poem. Yes, a poem for the environment. Let me introduce him to you. He is the founder of performance art group Collaboratory PH, and listen to this, as the great grandson of Severino Lola Basyang Reyes, he bears the legacy of his family through his creative storytelling through poetry. He represented the Philippines in the 2018 Lit Up Asia Poetry Slam in Singapore and competed in the Cultural Center of the Philippines Performatura Slam. Friends, let's all welcome Leandro Reyes.
Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me here.
Nakamute ba siya? I can't hear. Can you hear?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here. This is something very close to my heart. Admittedly, this wasn't initially something that I have been addicted to myself with. But since a couple of years ago, I have been invited by the LRC to work with it and a few other organizations.
Leanne?
Yeah.
Leanne, you're fading away. Can you? Yeah, so that we want to hear you, all of you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, okay, is that better?
That's better.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, and again, this wasn't a cause that I supported for uh, ever since I started writing. But a couple of years ago, I worked. I had a very wonderful experience of working with the LRC, the Legal Rights Commission and Natural Resources, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things that need to be done, need to be stopped, and I just wish I started educating myself earlier. So ever since then, I've been helping out and just trying to learn more about what needs to be done. Um, this poem is entitled Manila Bay. I grew up in Remedios, Quirino, Manila. And as a child, my grandfather always he raves about the Manila Bay, how he swims there, and fishes there, and spends family time there. And these stories are engraved in my head. And I would just share a piece of I would share a piece inspired by those stories. The title of this poem is Manila Bay. She resisted 5 Dutch invasions, hosted the destruction of 3 Japanese warfleets, endured the Spanish and Americans playing mine, no, mine, for 3 lifetimes. After the wars, she was occupied by locals, building establishments for recreation and forgetting. Bars and venues stretched through her side, broken beer bottles and unsettled dreams, consoled by her splashing song. In 2018, 100 suspected businesses were injecting untreated wastewater into her body. The long list included a hospital and the local zoo. She was once home to a mangrove forest. Now, as cigarette butts and medical wastewater lay afloat, she still tries to comfort our pain. Oh, sweet Manila Bay, reduced to a shallow grave, with white birds pretending to be temporary lilacs. In our grandparents' stories, you will always be blue. And that's my poem. I hope you liked it. Hope it reached you how it reached me. Um, yeah, I have another poem, but I'll share it later. Um, very excited to be here and hear the others. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Leon. Marie?
Yeah, wait. Okay. I couldn't get my video started. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's thank you, Lian. Alam mo, poetry is something that's very soulful, no? In PETA, we had a lot of poets before at nakakaiyak din talaga pagka binabasa mo yung mga poetry nila. And well, poetry yan. Ngayon naman, the poetry of what's this? Of imagery, no? Images, photos, no? So our next speaker is a certified public accountant and economist with many years of experience as an investment analyst and stockbroker. She served as the senior vice president for investor products, for investor relations, and corporate communications at SM Investments Corporation for over 10 years. outside her busy work schedule, and this is the more interesting part, she's a nature photographer and certified scuba diver. Oh, that's our wish. So she has documented her travels in places like Banawe, Sipadan, and Tubataha Reef. Let us welcome Corazon Guidote.
Thank you, Marie. And let me now share my screen. If I may be allowed to share my screen.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, there you go. Okay, well, can you see it now?
Not yet.
Okay,
Now.
anyway,
Yes,
while
very
it's, all right. So
We
while
can
it's
see.
buffering, no, I just want to first thank Ms. Nina Galang for inviting me to this forum. It's really my first time to do this and to showcase the photos I've taken over the years, diving in different places. So in the cover, you see that the photos I'll be showing are photos taken in Anilao, Cebu, Batangas, Cebu, Dumaguete, Tubataha, Coron, El Nido, Palawan, Donsol, and outside of the Philippines, there are a few photos from Sipadan in Malaysia and in Fiji. I'll be telling a story of this journey I've had, diving the oceans. And what really got me started was my mother, because she always warned me about the dangers of the sea and, going in there and, I might drown myself. So I told her I need to do this because I was in a very fast-paced job and I needed to uh, de-stress myself somehow. Uh, okay, it's not. Let me stop it first because it's not shared. It's not. The slides are not showing. So yeah. So I'd also like to thank Green Convergence for and Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum for sponsoring the event. And also, I'd like to thank Ms. Vicky Nanyagas of National University for inviting her students to, to join us now. I hope I'll be able to inspire them with this talk and the images I'll be showing. So I took up my dive certification back in 1991. Wala pang mga digital cameras noon. So took a while before I really went into photography. So it's actually good because first I had to be very comfortable in the water, and so I pursued higher certifications. I went into advanced diving and rescue diving. So eventually, so the first certification was with NAUI and eventually with PADI. So anyway, when I started in Anilao, a lot of the reefs I saw looked like this. This is not my photo. At that time, I wasn't taking pictures yet. But you see a lot of dead corals and hardly any fish. So it was really heartbreaking to see it that way. Then, as years went by, it just actually got better. There was just one place where, the instructors would always take us in a site called Cathedral, where there was a cross installed by President Ramos, who was also a diver. And there, people, we were allowed to feed the fish with bread, and so the fish would come, and it would be a fun experience for first-time open water divers. So at that time, that's how Anilao looked. Now, this is how Anilao is. Okay, so you see this abundance of colors of fish, of corals, and it's just teeming with life of different species of fish. And this is because the diving community actually educated the coastal town of Anilao that, they need to appreciate how fish actually behave in their relationship with the corals, no? Kasi symbiotic ang relationship niyan eh. If there are no corals, there are no fish. So first, let's go into what the Philippines is all about when it comes to marine biodiversity. By the way, I'm just a hobbyist. I'm not a professional photographer, nor am I a marine biologist. So I'm not really an expert in the science of these things. So everything I will share with you is purely experiential. But anyway, so I looked at the, certain facts about Philippine marine biodiversity, and this is what I found out. That the Philippines is a global center of marine biodiversity, but it is also known as the global center of marine biodiversity because the country covers a major portion of the Coral Triangle with more than 16,800 square kilometers of coral reef. Because we're an archipelago, we have one of the longest coastal areas in the world. So from Luzon to Mindanao, the country has more marine species per square unit area than any other place on the planet. It is also home to a unique collection of species of corals, seagrass, seaweeds, invertebrates, fish, and marine mammals. And marine biologists call the Philippine Sea the center of aquatic diversity. And I hope to be able to display a little bit of that. My collection is not anywhere near the thousands of species that are available in the Philippines, but I did try my best to get as many as I could in the time that I was diving. In fact, some people said, bakit mo kinakareer yan, But I was just so enamored by what I saw underwater and how I witnessed, life underwater. So let's start with the corals, no? So because as I said, with no corals, there will be no fish. Kasi ito yung habitat nila eh. This is where they thrive. This is where they, lay their eggs, grow their fingerlings. And this is where even the smallest of species thrive. There are different types of hard corals. So you have these staghorn corals, you have these brain corals, this is mga tube. This is a basket coral. Okay, so you see these little fish, but even here, if you think that there's no life on this thing, later on I'll show you what goes inside those in between those protrusions. These are the soft corals, so they're called soft because they're really soft. So when the current goes through them, they go with the current, like this one. You can see where the current is going, diba? So these are like the anemones, bubble corals, and then this is called the toadstool coral kasi mukha siyang stool. Okay, so a lot of them are anemones. They're called anemones in different types of species of anemones. This is a pan coral. Okay. So again, you think that there's nothing there, but there are actually little creatures that are very interesting to look at and take pictures of as you go closer to them. These are just examples of coral beds in reefs. No, it's very hard to take wide angle shots of coral beds because the colors diffuse. It's diffused by the water, especially the color red. So a lot of, especially when the sun is not very strong, at saka malabo yung water, so the red color disappears. So it turns blue or kind of green. But the corals in the Philippines are just really beautiful. A lot of these ones are into Bataha. This is in Dumaguete, Anilao. This one is in Dumaguete. You can see how pristine the corals are. In fact, when you dive there, you're not allowed to wear gloves to discourage you from touching the corals kasi very sensitive yung cover niya eh. So sometimes if you touch it, either you break the corals or you remove the film that actually protects them. So, and then after the corals, let's go to the marine invertebrates. Kasi ito yung mas interesting. Ito yung pinakamaraming species of marine creatures that I'm sure a lot of you have not seen yet because you will not see them in aquariums. They will not thrive in aquariums. They only will thrive in a reef that's healthy and ecologically balanced. So invertebrates are critters that live in marine habitats and they lack a vertebral column, and some have evolved a shell or a hard exoskeleton. So let's start with the nudibranchs. In nudibranchs, these are my favorites kasi napaka-colorful and just, you know, these are the artists of the sea. Eh. If you look very closely at their colors, their shapes, their forms, they have stunning colors. And there are so many species of nudibranchs. Actually, in the world, there are 3,000 known species, half of which are here in the Philippines. Kaya lang, you have to look hard for them kasi maliliit lang to eh. Their sizes vary between, say, 1 millimeter all the way to about 3 to 4 inches or even maybe 12 inches. Meron ganong kalaki. But they're not as colorful anymore. So the first family of nudibranchs I'll show you are the chromodories. No? So these ones have stripes on them or simple designs, but the colors are very stunning. These ones are yellows, no? So these horns are called rhinophores, and this one is called the branchia or the gill. So branchia is the Greek name, and that's the reason why they're called nudibranchs is because yung nudi in Greek is naked, no? It means naked in English. And the gill is where they breathe. Branchia is the gill. So they breathe through these gills. And then, because their eyes are very tiny, they hardly see anything. The rhinophores are used to actually search for food. They're very sensitive to smell and taste. You know, so yan ang behavior ng nudibranchs. And then they just crawl along the reef. They're very soft. These chromodories are like marshmallows when you touch them. You know, but they curl up, and then if you drop them on the reef, they begin to crawl again. They're so cute. Okay. Other forms of chromodories, some have textured bodies with dots on them, you know. And then so here again you have striped ones with purple, blue, and white. Okay. This is my favorite chromodories kasi yung mantle niya is long, parang may skirt siya eh. So when it walks, the mantle goes up and down as it walks, so it's quite entertaining to watch it. Tapos ang ganda ng colors niya eh. Okay. Then here are juvenile Hypsilodoris. So the juveniles one are still very simple, yung patterns nila and the colors they sometimes have just one color, and then as they grow older, that's when the actual colors come out. Okay. This is also a juvenile nudibranch. This is a mature Hypsilodoris. And again, this is one of my favorite ones kasi ang ganda-ganda ng colors niya. The gill is very long, of yellow and purple. Ganun din yung kanyang rhinophores. And you might be wondering what this is all about. This is a Hypsilodoris that is laying eggs. Okay? So yung eggs niya, parang ribbon. And it's also colored yellow. So it's ganda. So I got lucky and was able to take a picture of it giving birth, no? So the way it lays its eggs is in a circular motion, so it goes like that. So once it's done, you see the stomach very big. Once it's done, parang may coil of ribbon on the coral itself. And then these are different species with dotted, with spots on them. Another family are the Dorids. Okay, mas textured ang bodies nila, and then if you look at the gills, they're more flowery. They're so beautiful, very flowery. And then this one is one of my favorites also because of the colors, you know, green and tangerine. Napakaganda. And then here you have more Dorids. Their quality is really the flowery types of gills. No? And this is how they mate. See, this is the one that makes me wonder about nudibranchs, is that they mate like for like. So this is mating, this is mating. They mate through a tube sticking out of the side of their body. And nudibranchs have both egg cells and sperm cells inside their body. So, ang tawag ba doon? Hermaphrodite ba yung tawag doon? But they cannot impregnate themselves. They have to mate, and then as they're mating, they're exchanging both eggs and sperms. but it's like for like. So I still really wonder up to now, how come there's so many different species of nudibranchs if they mate like for like? So really, there's some, you know, higher spirit really creating these things, you know, and it's created in a very artistic manner. Okay, so more Dorids, and these are um, nudibranchs without gills. They breathe naman through their serrata. Serrata are these protrusions in their bodies. And medyo matigas na yung bodies nito eh. Iba yung quality. But one thing they share with other nudibranchs is the rhinophore. Okay. So pag may rhinophore, most likely nudibranch. Yeah. It's spelled Rhinophores, rhinophore. And then these are the Ardiodoris. Napakaganda rin. Lacy naman yung kanyang body, no? So, unlike the other one that you saw, yung mahaba lang yung mantle niya that goes up and down. Ito, it doesn't really go up and down. Pero, as it crawls, you know, parang lace yung sides niya. Pretty. Another species is the Glossadoris. Ito yung pinaka-varied yung shapes and forms. So, I don't know how the scientists or the marine biologists actually categorized these different nudibranchs, but yeah, they have very different forms and shapes. And this is the most elaborate nudibranch I've seen. It's actually camouflaged in this type of soft coral, and again, it's characterized by the rhinophores. It's so beautiful. Parang butterfly na siya. These ones are aelids. Again, you don't really see the gills, no? But it has these serratas where they actually breathe from. So iba-ibang shapes and forms then, iba-ibang kulay. These ones here on the right are really, really tiny. They're only probably 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters small. So I have to use macro photography and light, no? Extra light to be able to capture some of the details. Ayan, you can actually see through the body, medyo transparent yung body niya. But this one is a long one. It's called the dragon nudibranch. Kasi para siyang worm. And then ang serrata niya are like feathers of the peacock. So it also crawls, ganyan. And then this photo here is you see two of them mating. And the tube that comes out of their bodies near the neck. Again, you know, I don't know why I'm so lucky to be able to pick up these images of mating nudibranchs. But maybe because I seek them out, I really seek them out. There was one time I spent 1 week in Anilao just taking photos, and my friends thought I was really crazy. But you know, I was just so enamored by these little creatures. Let's go to starfish, another form of invertebrate. And here you have 3 different types of the same species. This one is red and white, red and yellow. And this one is also red and yellow, but if you look at it, it has 6 arms. And they say that when there are 6 arms in a starfish, one will detach to become a new one. Okay, that's how they propagate. So magde-detach yung isa. And then that one arm will develop other arms to have 5 eventually. So different species again, green, yellow. This one is green with 6 arms. So again, baka mag-detach yung isa, no? These are the more common types you see. But these ones are the rare ones. This one looks more like a sponge. Ito parang gingerbread cookie, di ba? So the colors are just really, you know, interesting how they're designed sometimes. So there must be someone or something there, you know, that designs these species the way they are. Napakaganda. Let's go to the crustaceans, and these are the large and diverse collection. This is the seas. Sorry, we have a large in the Philippines. We have a large diverse collection of species that include crabs, lobsters, crayfish, shrimps, prawns, krill, woodlice, and barnacles. But the ones that are
You're frozen.
What happened? Cora? Uh, it's probably her internet connection, right? Let's wait a while. Um, Carla, would you like to read some of the chat messages in the meantime?
Okay, let me check. Oh,
I was having fun reading some of them.
from Ma'am Juliet Manlapas. She said, wow, the beauty of God, God's creation. Wow, the beauty of God's creation, rather. Let's be good stewards of these excellent works of God. And according to Miss Vicky Segovia, she said, yes, in fact, I allow students in BSES, I think that's environmental science, to earn credit hours for their virtual practicum when they attend and make write-ups about environmental webinars. So far, these are the messages that we have in the chat box. Of course, we also have here all the praises given to Lian. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's quite a lot. I hope Lian was able to read all these praises. Very inspiring indeed. But just in case,
Yeah.
I'll read this to you, Lian. Uh, touching. Thank you, Lian. Galing from the heart. Thank you, Sir Lian. Thank you. I appreciate it. Wow, amazing, awesome, really fascinating. I think that belongs to the presentation of Cora, the
Cora.
one.
I wonder what's happened to Cora. Uh,
Can we call her? Can we call her? Probably.
Shafi, did she go
Uncle
out
Jeff
of the meeting
or
room?
Status.
Yes po, she's not in the meeting right now, but I can call her to make sure.
Okay, let's see if she can come back.
Okay, there's
Sayang
an
kasi, it was so fascinating. So the pictures were so,
yeah. Can I read this announcement? Let me check where this announcement is in our chat box.
Okay.
Here from Red Ryla. We will be having an upcoming webinar on environmental laws next week. Those who are interested to be our legendary speakers, please do not hesitate to contact us at 0956-780-1281. Well, you can always go back to the chat box to take note of this number and email at rbconsultants2015 at gmail.com, our Facebook at Entor Engineer. Okay. And probably some of you can also take advantage of this space in our webinar to announce just in case you have upcoming events. Anyone?
Okay. This is very interesting. Do you know that you can create a whole revolution just using art alone?
That's right. Right.
Sure.
Kasi diretso siya sa puso eh. No? May kurot sa puso ang art eh. So it moves you, it incites you to act. So
Carlo,
Yes, Miss.
Carlo, you might want to announce the CAP
Oh,
webinar.
that's right. That's right. Thank you, Miss, for reminding me of that. We will be having a national conference on, this is quite long, justice, peace, integrity of creation, gender equality, poverty alleviation, youth empowerment, etc. Quite long indeed. Beginning January 25 all the way to February 1. This is organized by the Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines.
Wow.
And that's the biggest association of schools in the Philippines. The first webinar is on climate neutrality.
Okay.
The first webinar is on climate neutrality, and it's going to be on January 25 from 10 a.m. to 12 noon.
Interesting.
And we have two good speakers, well, great speakers actually. We will be having Miss Louie Parungao of the Environmental Studies Institute, and of course, Dr. Angelina Galang, President of Green Convergence. So for the details, please go to CEAP Facebook page, CEAP. Okay, I think we have Cora back.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
Yes, okay, no problem.
That's okay.
I didn't even realize I was talking to nobody anymore.
What happened? Did your batteries die or something?
No, it's just an unstable signal, you know. I mean,
Oh,
this
okay.
happens all the time. We
Yeah,
just
well,
had our,
sometimes it happens to me too, and so Carlo has to back me up.
yeah. So thank you for bearing with me. So I was here talking about shrimps, was I?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So these shrimps are
Further back.
oh further back. I have to go
Yes.
back. So you saw? Did you catch my thing about
Yes.
crustaceans?
Yes, this one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So anyway, so that's the first slide in among the crustaceans, the shrimps, no? And like I said, there are also different species of shrimps. Some they're really tiny, and some are the usual types that you see, in the market. But again, the symbiotic relationship is very important. If you want to find them, you need to know where they reside. So so these yellow ones are is on a whip coral, and this one is on a feather star. This one is on a tube coral, whip coral. Yeah, and this is the tiniest one I saw. Again, it's just the size of your thumbnail. Okay. Then these are the more interesting ones. They're called the glass shrimps. Their bodies are very transparent. Okay. And I got lucky that I got an image of this pregnant shrimp. You can see the eggs in yellow here. And then, so they reside on anemones, anemone corals, the soft corals. This one is on the bubble coral and the bubble corals too. Okay, how do I know that you're still there?
We are here. We are
Okay,
enjoying.
right. So these are squat shrimps, the yellow ones, and then on the right are cleaner shrimps. They're called cleaners because big fish go to this area where they live. They reside near or under rocks, and then the fish go there so that the shrimps will eat the parasites on their skin. So there's this thing in the sea also that may cleaning area, So cleaner shrimps, cleaner fish, meron mga ganon. In fact, some of the divers, they tried out, they took off their regulator, and then they caught one of these shrimps and put this on their teeth, and then the shrimp started cleaning their teeth. So it's very funny. And then the mantis shrimp is like a prawn, but it's much more dangerous than the prawn kasi meron siyang parang whip right in front of it. That if it whacks your finger, it can literally cut your finger. Itong parang extensions niya dito sa harap. But they're also a bit ornate yung harap niya. May parang mga designing or decorated yung kanyang face. This one, the giant mantis, is several times bigger than the normal mantis shrimps, and you can see the eyes are elongated. The mantis shrimp has the most sophisticated eyes in the world. they can see 360 degrees and they can see different types of colors. No?
Oh.
So at least that's what marine biologists say. And I've never seen a giant mantis get out of its hole, but it must be big and intimidating. You know, crustaceans normally they hunt during the night, but the mantis shrimp, interestingly, you can see them during the day as well, hunting for food. Okay, so usually nocturnal sila. And these are the smaller types of crabs. These are the squat lobsters pala, no? They're very tiny, and this one resides on a feather star coral or feather coral, and then these ones are the ones I was saying that reside in the basket corals in between the protrusions. Although not all basket corals have them, but yeah, if you know where to find them, you find them, and it's very hard to take their picture because they're not only small, they also are moving within those protrusions. These are the ordinary lobsters, and they're always just hiding in the, in rocks. Kasi favorite food yan ng mga cuttlefish at saka octopus eh. So they're very careful. And again, these are nocturnal, so you usually only see them go out of their holes at night. These are bigger crabs. This one is small. Siguro ito mga 1 or 2 inches lang. It's an anemone crab. It lives in an anemone coral. This is the hermit crab. You see them sometimes sa beach area lang eh, di ba? And then this decorator crab is the most interesting because what it does, parang scavenger to ito eh. It covers itself with stones and whatever trash it can pick up, and sticks it on its body para i-camouflage yung sarili niya. Kasi nga, when they hunt for food, pwede rin silang ma-hunt. In the sea, the rule in the sea is everyone is food, okay? And everyone is a predator as well. So it's up to these creatures to know how to defend themselves. And you know why nudibranchs are very colorful is because the more colorful they are, the more toxic they are when you swallow them. Okay, so let's go to the cephalopods, or the ones that they're marine mollusks, parang mollusks ito, and they're made up of squids, octopus, cuttlefish, or nautilus. Okay. So these are different types of octopus. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoying.
Okay, I'm just checking kasi baka mamaya wala na naman akong kausap eh.
No,
Do you still
so
have a
great.
lot of slides to go through, Cora?
Quite a few, but hindi na masyado. I'll go fast. So these are veined octopus. This is the wonderpus. You can see this yung size niya. Ito yung kamay ng body ko, si Nick Espinosa. And then ang legs niya very long. This is the most poisonous of octopus, the blue-ringed octopus. So like I said, the more colors are toxic. Ito yung cuttlefish, and these are cuttlefish eggs. You can see the baby cuttlefish there inside the egg. These are juvenile cuttlefish, and these are the mature ones. Okay, this is a flamboyant cuttlefish. So pagka relax siya, it camouflages itself, parang yung sand. But the moment you touch it, this constant display of colors come out. Kaya flamboyant. Again, toxic yan, kaya makulay. And then the bigger ones, the bigger invertebrates, are the pawikans, which are actually reptiles, no. And these are very important to us, kasi turtles, they're just so pleasant to look at, and they're very gentle, and important ito sa dagat natin. This is a baby turtle. Okay. There are also different species and they're defined by the colors and the design of their backs. A few species of fish and marine critters. These are the clownfish. Favorite ko to. They also come in different shapes and colors. Right. They became famous from the movie Finding Nemo. Yan, so ito ibang kulay niya. This was taken in Dumaguete. Normally, solitary yung mga clownfish, but in Dumaguete, you see them in groups. Then you have seahorses, different types of seahorses. The pygmy seahorse is the smallest. Again, you won't see this in aquariums. They're very tiny and they only live in fan corals. This is just half the size of your fingernail. Pipefish. On the right, you have the banded pipefish. And the moray eels, this one got a bad reputation from a certain movie that I forgot, but actually they're harmless. And they look like snakes when they're out of their holes, but usually they're just burrowed inside holes and rocks. Yan, yung blue eel na yan is called the ribbon eel. On the left side is a juvenile eel. And then below it are the smallest I've seen of eels, which are also residing in anemones. And beside it is a crocodile eel that hardly moves, no? And then you have the leaf fish. Mukha talagang dahon. The most bizarre looking fish is the frogfish. It hardly swims. And yeah, so madali siyang kuhanan ng picture. Pero iba-iba rin ang itsura. You have the black, gray, you know, iba-ibang kulay yan. These are juveniles. The lionfish is one of the most ornate fish, but also the most dangerous one. So if you touch the spine, mamamaga agad ng kamay mo. Okay, it's very poisonous, but they're very beautiful to look at. Scorpion fish, again, they hardly move, but they also take on different shapes and forms. Their wings are very colorful, or pectoral fins, but they look more like wings. Yeah, this is the most bizarre looking scorpion fish called the devil scorpion fish. Very rare. You have the puffer fish and the porcupine fish that puffs up when you touch them. Okay. The striped eel catfish and the box fish. One of my favorites is the batfish. So I'm moving now towards the schooling fish, no? The sweet lips. See this in Tubataha. These ones are called the bumphead parrotfish. Ang lalaki nila. And I took these photos in Sipatan, but we actually have them also in Mindanao. So they're endangered species already. That's why in Sipadan, they're actually protected. That island is very much protected. And then, of course, the trevally, we have an abundance of this. This is called talakitok in Tagalog. When they're small, they school, you know, in big schools. Ganyan. So the one you see there is Aji, one of my dive mates. Yan, it's so overwhelming when you encounter a large school of jackfish. This is a giant school of yellowtail snappers. And I took these photos in El Nido. And this is the most awesome I've seen of schooling fish are the sardines in Cebu in Mualboal, no, in Pescador Island, where you see millions and millions of this because sanctuary na yun, eh. They don't allow you to fish there. So they just thrive and they are in the millions. So the moment you swim underneath them or you dive underneath them, everything turns really dark sa dami nila. And so that's why you see these predators here, itong mga barracudas, no, just hunting from them, from that large school of fish. These are rays that I saw in Tubataha, the manta ray and the porcupine ray, but there are other rays as well in Tubataha. And these are just examples of fish eggs. I'll now be moving into the sharks. This is the last part now. So we have this unique thresher shark in Malapascua in Cebu. You only see them there. These sharks go very deep, up to 200 feet. But to see them, you have to dive very, very early in the morning because that's when they go up to about 60 to 80 feet to have their bodies cleaned in the cleaner areas, in the cleaning areas. So this is not my photo. It was just given to me because it was very hard. This one on the left is my photo. As you can see, it's very blurred. But the face is like the face of a dolphin with big eyes. In Tubataha, you see a lot of reef sharks. About 98% of sharks don't eat people. Okay, so they're not dangerous. But there are predatory sharks that eat people if you disturb them. Okay, so in fact, I went to Fiji to dive in an area where they have really dangerous sharks, and we were not in cages when we dove. So the first dive was shallow waters where there were only reef sharks like white tips and black tips. In white is defined by the tip of the fin on the back, and then yeah, yung dorsal fin niya, and then yeah. So the second dive was deeper, and here we encountered bull sharks that are being fed by feeders, no. Kaya marami sila. At one point, there were 20 of them being fed, and they're so not trained to kind of line up to feed on the tuna. So I'll show you a video. This is courtesy of my dive buddy, si Keith Leonard. He took this video of the bull shark, and you will see why they're quite terrifying. Take note of the diver, the feeder, the head of the feeder, and the size of the shark. So did you see that? Did you see the clip?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So let's move on. Last few slides. This shark is called Scarface kasi may scar siya sa face. But this is the most dangerous shark I've ever encountered, and this is a tiger shark. A tiger shark is at least 12 to 15 feet, but this one is a full grown, so it was about 15 feet in size. And when it arrived, it first looked at us, went to the feeder, and then looked at us again, and then left. So you can see the size of it, and you can see the diver underneath it. I'll show you again this video courtesy of Keith Leonard. There, so it looked at us and then left. See how close it was, so close to us. There. And finally, you have the whale sharks. These are sharks. They are not whales. The butandings, you can find them in Donsol and Oslob. You can swim with them. They're harmless. They're very gentle, but they can grow up to 60 feet. So there was one point that every year I would go to Donsol to just to have an encounter with these whale sharks. So just to wrap up, what I've learned over the years is that yes, the Philippines is indeed the center of marine biodiversity. No corals, no fish. So we have to maintain healthy reefs because of the very strong symbiotic relationship between the two. A balanced ecosystem ensures long-term sustainability and an abundant marine life. And then in the sea, colors, camouflage, and size matters for survival. And the best way to protect marine life is education, and one of it is through ecotourism, no? Because there's greater awareness. And the greatest threat to marine life, for me, at least from what I've experienced, is destructive fishing techniques like the use of dynamites, cyanide, and trawling, and of course pollution, especially plastic bags, no? Because they look like jellyfish, and sometimes the turtles they swallow these plastic bags and die. Okay, and of course chemicals that you release, no, it really destroys the reefs. Okay, so with that, I'd like to thank everyone for your time and interest, and thank you for bearing with me when I had the technical problem. Maraming salamat.
Cora, through your lens, you have captured the beauty of God's creation. And, seeing its beauty and grandeur is enough for us to make a stand to protect the environment.
That's
Thank you,
right,
Cora.
Carlo.
Yours is a testimony that indeed, regardless of our chosen career, one can be an environmentalist and inspire people and motivate them to do their share for the environment. Thank you once again, Cora.
You're welcome.
Yes, yes, I second that. Thank you very much, Cora, for the underwater tour. It was so refreshing. It was like a meditation. Na ang
Right,
ganda-gandang
meditation.
meditation.
I agree.
Yeah, and you know, The ones who started Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum were divers. That's Vic Milan and Vic Villavicencio. That's the partnership, Kamayan Restaurant, Vic Villavicencio of Kamayan, and Vic Milan. So a lot of people, divers and mountaineers, those who are exposed to the beauty of nature, become environmentalists. Kasi when you appreciate what God has given us, you cannot but help to want to protect it, right? So we want to be better caretakers, stewards
Right,
of
right.
creation, God's gift to us. And now it is time to bring you back our young poet who has an old soul. Let's listen once again to Leandro Reyes.
Hi again. I'm back. Are my volumes okay? Yeah. Okay. Um this next poem is one of my favorite poems. And I feel like to this day this is the most important thing I've ever written. Um yeah, I've I've worked with the LRC with this poem. I met Ate Nora, one of the leaders of the Blaan tribe of South Cotabato. And we worked together to create this poem. Not so long ago, uh, there was a project that was threatening to have an open pit mine covering 7,000 football fields in size. It would destroy Sbangken, would displace a lot of indigenous people, and really talking to them and the organization. Um, I had the opportunity to tell their stories, and it was in that moment when Ate Nora and I said, I promised her that in every opportunity that I get, I would share this story. I will tell their story. I will share this poem as much as I can. So the the title of this poem is Pon El na Fondana. Blaan ito at ang ibig sabihin ay may-ari ng tubig at lupa. Alright. Irog, ang pangako ko'y alagaan ka. Ang lahat ng iyo at ang buong ikaw. Maintindihan mo sana na hindi kita maaalayan ng ginto. Ang alay ko ay sayaw. Di ko aapakan ng iyong mga paa o ang iyong pinaniniwalaan. Ituduyan ka sa aking mga bisig kasabay ng alay kong awit. Awit na turo ng bukay, ng lalaran, at tukaymal. Hindi kita maaalayan ng ginto. Pero lagi kitang sasamahang maligo sa ulan. Aakapin natin ang mga halaman ng walang katapusang hardin ng Sbangket. Daranasin natin ang pagtubo na turo ng mga puno nito. Daranasin natin ang pagtibay na turo ng mga puno nito. sa kanila nating unang natutuhan ang halaga ng pagkapit sa pinagtubuan. Hindi kita maaalayan ng ginto pero lagi kitang hahatian ng kwento. Pagsasaluhan natin ng mga storya ng mga nauna sa atin. Habang hinahabi pa natin ang mga kulay ng ako at ikaw, isusukob natin ito sa ating mga balikat tuwing malamig ang gabi. Malakas ang ugong ng langit at di pa mapaghihilingan ng mga tala. Pagdating ng panahon, ay buong ligayang ipamamana ang kasaysayang naipon ng mga albong sa mga susunod sa atin. Haakapin kita sa ginaw ng hamog. Ang alay ko'y agos ng aruga, pamana ng eelamda, di mo kabaw. Hindi kita maaalayan ng ginto kailanman. Ang alay ko'y pagmamahal palibot ng hiwaga ng kalikasan. At pangako, payayamanin kita. That was the poem. Thank you. I hope you liked it.
Salamat, Lian. Napakahusay. Tagos sa puso talaga, Lian. Uh, Lian, thank you for sharing with us your gift, the gift of words. And not all of us are gifted with such talent. Indeed, words can stir emotions such as deep sadness, profound joy, and it can also stimulate hope that is sometimes buried in our innermost being because of what? Because of delusions. Words are powerful and can in fact initiate revolutions and can bring to life our most cherished dream for our country. Maraming salamat, Lian.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you, Leanne. Thank you very much. So on to you, Carlo.
Okay. For many environmentalists, this next guest of ours needs no introduction. I am a fan of him, and we all are, right? He's a renowned singer-songwriter from Bukidnon. His music compositions are defined by a combination of Filipino ethnic instruments and contemporary pop. He was the former vice chairman and chairman of the music committee of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. Along with his numerous accolades for his music, he was awarded the Neri Satur Award for Environmental Heroism for promoting environmental awareness and arts education from ancestral roots. But before we hear him speak to us, let us first listen to one of his most remarkable songs and be awed by its heartwarming yet poignant lyrics. Chappie, please.
Nais kong lumipad tulad ng agila at lumutang-lutang sa hangin, magkaroon ng pugad sa puso ng kagubatan. Ngunit ito ay panaginip lang at maaaring di matupad. Pagkat ang kagubatan ay nawawala, mga puno nito'y nangingibang bayan. At pag walang puno, wala na ring mapupugaran. Kapag ang agila'y walang pugad, wala na siyang dahilang lumipad. O Haring Ibon, hari kong tunay, nais kong tumulong ng kaharian mo'y muling mabuhay. Kung nais mong makakita ng agila, huwag kang tumingala at tumitig sa langit. Pagkat ang mga agila nitong ating bayan, ang iba'y nabihag na, ang natitira'y bihirang magpakita. Tiniklop na nila ang kanilang mga pakpak, hinubad na nila ang kanilang mga plumahe. Sila'y nagsipagtago sa natitirang gubat, ang lahi ba nila'y tuluyan ng mawawala.
I have heard this song 100 times perhaps, but it never failed to touch my heart. Laging may kurot, lalo na ngayon, no? Kakamatay lang ng ating Philippine Eagle na si Pag-asa. And well, just like any other Joey's songs, no? It always stir an emotion in all of us. You know, two of my other favorites are Wala ng Tao sa Santa Filomena and Walang Hanggang Paalam. You know, though these are not directly environmental, both convey compelling messages about human lives in a complex society like ours. And the second actually has become a theme song of many activists among us. Okay, friends, let's welcome and give a virtual round of applause to Joey Ayala. Sir?
Okay. May tunog na? Okay na.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hello,
Magandang
Joey.
hapon. Happy New Year. Ako po si Joey Ayala. Baka sakaling di nyo na maalala yung mukha ko.
We will always remember you.
Wow naman. Always remember. I'm a musician, I think. Yeah. Mula pagkabata. Tinanong ko ang nanay ko, Nay, ba't ako ganito? Nagsusulat, umakyat sa stage, tutugtog, nagko-compose. Ba't ako ganito? I was wondering. Sabi niya, I just left things lying around within your reach. Typewriter, may lumang gitara, may harmonica, mga melodika, may bungkaka dun sa isang kanto. Parang Montessori style yata yan yung ganun. Allow things to be within the reach of your child para ma-explore niya yung iba-ibang possibilities sa mundo. I spent a lot of time up in trees, nakaupo sa bayabas, pinapanood ko yung mga langgam, mga 7 klaseng langgam sa isang puno, mga ganyan. Yung maliit na pula, napakaliit na pula, yung medium size na pula, yung malaking pula, di ba? Meron pang langgam na gray na mukhang silver, yung itim, iba-iba ring size. So I really feel I learned a lot more from my home environment, living with 2 parents who are both artists. At saka sa garden environment, yung may puno, may damo, may aso, may butiki, may ahas, may palaka, may alitap-tap. Taken for granted. Pag summer, sa lagubang, sa laginto, tapos may mga garden. Sa Cubao tong kinikwento ko, sa Cubao ha. Cubao, Quezon City. Mga garden lizard, malalaki, mga gamba, mas malaki pa sa kamay ng bata. Yan yung childhood ko. So, natural world, talagang bahagi yan ng aking experience. That is why many of my songs, even if I'm not thinking about an environmental message, actually, yun yung nasa baul ko of experience. So, what is not in your experience, you cannot really write well about. Yan ang isang na-realize ko as a writer and an artist and as a musician. Kung di mo alam, siguro makaimbento ka ng a bit. You can fake it, lalo kung magaling ka mag-research. Ang kagandahan sa mga artists ngayon, may Google na. Kung ano ang kakulangan mo sa direct experience, may vicarious experience. So, you can experience practically anybody's life today if you have access to Google. Diba? You can dive into a book written by someone in Greece about the dolphins or whatever, dun sa kanilang karagatan. Ang isang importante sigurong prinsipyo na gusto kong as an artist ay yung element of entertainment. Ang isang bagay kapag entertaining o maganda ang pagkasabi, automatically ina-assume ng tao, ay, totoo ito. And that is one of the powers of art that masquerades as the truth. It is also the danger of art because it can masquerade as truth. So everything, sa aking experience, at least in the arts, everything positive has a dark side. There's a dark side to it. That's why there are so many, how do you say it, Luciferic artists. It's used as a metaphorical term, yung Luciferic. Kasi Lucifer, the angel of light yan, di ba? Luz. Light. Ang kanyang pangsilaw liwanag. So artists are Luciferic in that sense because you present something beautiful and then the human psyche is attracted. Wow, bright and wow. So yun lang yung double-edged. Wala talaga siyang... I don't think there's anything pure in that sense. Because even when you look at nature, the beauty that you see is also in a state of decay. Diba? Ang buhay at ang kamatayan ay iisa lang. sa kalikasan. Tapos, meron tayong parang ito yung tinatahak ng utak ko ngayon eh. How do I resolve artistically the dichotomies na beauty, ugliness, pero ugliness is part of the truth. Yung ganun. Gusto natin peace, pero pagbayad natin ng buwis, ang laki nung budget na pupunta sa military. Tapos, yung ganun, yung paano mo i-resolve yan sa utak mo? Without needing to invent demons and Satan. Parang kung maghanap ka ng mabibintangan, yung kagandahan, ibigay mo kay God. Yung pangit kay Satanas, di ba? Kung maghanap ka ng mabibintangan. Or you're looking for the author of this art. Who wrote the bad part that makes the good so good? Who made the good part that makes the bad so interesting? Yung balance na yan ang iniisip ko sa songwriting ngayon. And ang napansin ko, it leads also to irony and sarcasm. Yung ganun. Kasi trying to say one thing in the face of something else. And there are many things na we see in reality that we do not like to speak about in polite company. Diba? That's why nagkakaroon ng art na shocking o how do you say it, subversive, o yung jarring, ayan, art. Tapos meron din mga art na hindi natin napapansin na art. For example, advertising. Diba? Yung pera mo, kinukuha na, hindi mo pa napapansin. Kasi taken for granted mo ng normal yan. Pag wala kang ganyan, babaho, kilikili mo, hindi ka nakatanggap-tanggap sa lipunan. O, kailangan yung kilay mo ganito, itsura ha. Kailangan yung mukha mo ganito ang kulay. Ganyan. Maraming mga entertainments na umaagaw sa kamalayan natin. Tapos, ang tawag nga ng may nabasa ko isang author, sabi niya, yeah, that's a form of black magic. The taking of life force in the form of your money. Pinaghirapan mo, kunyari, nasa Hong Kong ka, nag-aalaga ka na anak ng iba, papadala ka ng pera sa Pilipinas. Tapos yung paghawak ng pera, bibili ng load para sa cellphone. Di ba? Parang yung nanay mo, pinagpalit mo sa load. Yan daw. Yan ang black magic daw. Kasi kinukuha mo yung life force ng mga tao, tapos hindi napapansin. So, yeah, I'm trying to write about ganun. Tapos medyo dahil siguro sa edad o dahil sa lockdown na bumubukas yung mga windows of opportunity sa oras na walang istorbo, no, walang meeting, walang bakante talaga. Binabalikan ko yung prose. I'm going back to a few short stories I started but never finished. And I'm also starting new things na habang nandiyan pa sa kamalayan. My mom, pumanaw na 2 years ago, sabi niya sa akin, while you still have a memory, you better write. Tama. Di ba? What else can you write about if not, something rooted in your memory? You can just twist the details later on kung gusto mo fiction ang dating. Yung topic ko talaga ay environmental transformation through songs. Hindi ko wala akong quantitative measure regarding the success of my songs in the realm of environmental transformation. I think my songs have succeeded in fueling the transformations, in helping to fuel transformations of people transforming themselves. Kasi yan lang ang alam kong feedback eh. May sasabihan ako, Joey, nag-environmental engineer ako dahil sa kanta mong ganito. Joey, I quit smoking because of this song. Yung gano'n, yung puro hearsay evidence. So, tapos minsan sinasabi ko pa nga, yung Agila, yung pinadabas ko kanina, isa sa mga paborito kong introduction to that song in concert, ito. When I wrote this song, there were supposedly 300 eagles in the wild. And today, there are only 3 dozen. So this song doesn't work. But it sounds good, honestly. So ang tanong talaga doon is, it is true, songs can uh, carry seeds, but they have to be planted. Seeds are just seeds, and I've often thought of myself as a planter. So a lot of my good seeds uh, have taken root in people who are very active, no? Yung mga mountaineers. Parang nasa subculture ako ng mountaineering, maybe outdoor, and aktivista, ecologist. Nandun ako sa subculture na yan. Uh, a handful of songs, ang bumuhay sa kanya, hindi radyo, kundi mga teacher na lalong-lalo yung mga nasa college in the late 80s. Kasi yan yung time na kinain ng koleyo yung mga kanta, lalo ng UP. So yung mga naging teacher dyan sa batch na yan, dala-dala nila yan, pinapasa sa mga estudyante. So part of the oral tradition yung ibang kanta ko. Some people consider them folk songs, meaning anonymous author. Yun yung traditional meaning ng folk. Hindi mo na alam kung sino ang gumawa. Naranasan ko din yun. I walked into a room for a lecture as I heard the students talking. Joey Ayala? Di ba patay na yun? Tapos pinapi ko, ay boy pa ako. Sabi niya, sorry sir, kasi teacher namin, lagi niya ginagamit yung term, the legendary. Ay akala namin patay na. Kasi di ba ang legend, patay na. Tapos tinanong ko sila, mga bata, sabi ko, nung kapanahunan ko, when I was your age, ang folk song para sa akin ay yung Bahay Kubo, kahit sa inyo, ano? Kumatayo sa ang lahat ng bagay ay pagkaugnay. Karaniwang tao, saan ka tatakbo? So nandun na yung a handful of songs that carry a very obvious environmental message. Nasa subculture na, ginagawang sayaw, choreograph, saan-saan. Ang daming interpretations on YouTube. And to think na yung magkaugnay, alam nyo ba yung kantang yan? Yung, ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Anyways, yung kanta na yan was inspired by, I think, 1969 photograph. Cover ng Life magazine, the first photo of the Earth as seen from the moon. So maliit pa ako noon. I think it was in grade 6 or 7. Pero nag-stick yung image sa akin yan all the way to the time up to now. Na this is an important truth that we are all in the same place. And it's circling, it's somewhere with inexplicable forces of nature, gravity, kung ano-ano, hindi ko ma-explain yan. Pero I tried. So it was that particular song, para sa akin, a challenge to be scientific and artistic. So I've always held to the apparent truth, at least for myself, that between arts and sciences, importante yung and, arts and sciences. I've always believed there has to be that thing there. In the arts, yung sciences, it's editing yourself, it's being objective, it's asking for critique from other people. That's a scientific method. Yung ginawa mo as an artist, bigay mo sa mas magaling sa'yo, tapos hingi ka ng comment. Diba? Pabasa mo sa kaibigan mo, tignan mo yung mukha kung nagkukunwari lang na gustuhan niya, pero actually hindi. Getting feedback is a scientific endeavor. And that's how to improve in the arts. So going back to the concept of transformation is really a human activity. Art can support it as a mnemonic device, primarily. It helps you memorize words and images. In fact, before the in written language was invented, nauna ang numbers kaysa alphabet. Nauna ang negosyante kaysa artist. Numbers came before the language writing. Music was the paper. And then you put your words, your oral words, onto the music. And then you pass it on. Yun yung function ng music in human history as far as I understand it. Music was social media. It carried messages from mouth to mouth, from town to town, from village to village. So, sasakyan siya ng diwa. Dumadaloy siya kung saan-saan, kumbaga sa tubig, dumadaan sa mga barangayan, nakasakay yung diwa mo doon, parang bangka. Kasi no makaintindi doon, alaman niya anong nangyayari doon sa kapila. So ngayon, ganun, buhay pa rin yung function na yan sa modern society. Pero marami ng distractions kasi naging commodity na rin siya. Noon di siya commodity eh. Kung magpe-perform ka, pakainin ka. Kaya ngayon, bumabalik tayo ngayon dyan sa ganun. Joey, pwede ka ba mag-perform to Zoom? Di ba? Yung bumabalik tayo sa ganun. Hindi na siya masyadong commodified. Nagiging electronic village itong quarantine culture. And another thing siguro na importante as an artist is, in a sense, totoo talaga yung sinasabing we are all artists. Especially now. Ba't ko nasabi yan? Kasi artist equals content creator. And all of us have a recording device in our hands right now. We're staring at it. It's a TV station that fits in your pocket, no? Itong cellphone. Grabe to. It makes all of us artists. Ang tanong na lang is, are you optimizing your artistry? Creating content. Ano talaga siya? I think habit has to be developed. Kung content creator ka, every day, every week, meron ka talagang nilalabas. Tapos walang sweldo yan. Artist na talaga. Kasi artist sanay sa ganun eh. Walang sweldo. May ginagawa ka, walang sweldo. Ayun lang. I-recap ko lang. Transformation is a human endeavor. And music and all the arts can be used as a medium of transportation or transmission to other people. So, yun yung prinsipyo niya. Siyempre, dahil sa technology, nagbabago yung anyo. But the energy is the same. Communicate an image. Why don't people agree if it's that simple? Well, why is there so much conflict? It's so easy to spread ideas. Main reason is every piece of communication contains two translations. From my core to the art I use, I translated my inner experience into an art. And then it goes to you, and then you have to translate it into something that your core can appreciate. Yung pagkatao mo, ma-appreciate niya. So you have to translate it. And because we all grow up differently, different surroundings, different politics, different economics, our translations are always have a variance. But that's where conflict arises. It's easy to unite on the basis of beauty rather than ideology or economics. Pag sinabing maganda, go ako dyan. Di ba? Hindi na nag-iisip, liberal ba yan? Democratic ba yan? Communist? Hindi. Okay yan, maganda eh. So beauty is the easiest point of unity. So, yan ang isang ng arts. Yeah. Tapos na ako.
Thank you.
Pina-record nyo, sinabi ko.
Thank you, Sir Joey. Marie?
Yeah. Okay. Alam mo, Joey, very interesting. Pwede tayong mag-usap na mga 2 araw siguro ng tuloy-tuloy dyan sa mga sinasabi mo eh.
Okay ang lighting ko dito.
Lalo na yung Luciferic.
May balanse yan. Ang balanse ni Lucifer.
Pero first, correct. Pero first, Joey, let me thank you. Kasi yung magkakaugnay, I used it for almost 3 years as the theme song of my radio program para sa Inang Kalikasan sa DWBL. Pero si Odette Alcantara asked your permission, di ba?
Oh, si Lola. Oh.
That's what she said.
Well.
So anyway, thank you. Kasi ginamit ko naman ginamit.
Her status implies my permission.
Okay. Anyway, napaka-interesting talaga ng art. Sinasabi mong it's a medium of communication. Yeah, it is. No, to me, it's a very effective medium of communication.
Para siyang
That's
zip
why it's
file.
effective. Huh?
It's a zip file. You
Where
have to
where is
unpack.
he?
Yung art is a form of
Oo
compressed
nga.
file, parang zip file. In
Oo nga.
appreciating it
Oo nga.
and
Pero
interpreting it, you are unpacking the file. So
That's
you
right.
can
that's
pack
right.
so much
Kasi
information in a
tingnan
small
mo ha.
space.
Yes, Joey, kasi tingnan mo, if you have a paper, scientific, technical paper on something like pollution, it's not more effective than, let's say, a film like Erin Brockovich. Di ba?
Oo, tama.
Parang, talaga, tinatamaan ka
Entertainment
talaga,
eh.
di ba? So, yun yung use ng art.
Engagement.
It says so many things in a short film or a poem or a song, things that do not need more words, no? Kasi pag landing sa'yo nung art, it's your consciousness that does all the equations, di ba? Yun yung value ng art. So, keep writing. Keep writing your songs and keep singing. So, now it's time for questions. Part 2 is question time from our participants. May questions po ba kayo? First, reminders lang. When you ask a question, you should please give your name, your organization if any, kung saan kayo nandun, kung sa Manila, kung sa Bukidnon, kung saan, and stick to the topic. Okay, and Carla will give you some other guidelines.
Let me just reiterate that we will first listen to all the verbal questions and then read all the written questions in the chat box. And then we allow the speakers to, number one, answer all those questions, or two, simply choose. Remember that we have a limited time. And in case there are too many questions, some might not be answered. So please raise your hand or call our attention through the chat box. Introduce yourself as what Marie said, and of course your organizational affiliation. Please make your questions straight to the point. There are already some questions in the chat box, but let's hear first the questions coming from the gallery.
Any questions from the gallery?
Okay, Tessa is raising her hand. Tessa?
Yes, good afternoon. Well, I'd like to thank all our speakers for inspiring all of us talaga. And you're so admirable. Kitang-kita yung mga God-given talents ninyo, and thank you for sharing them. Okay, now we all know that we are in a climate emergency. Ang sabi nila, we have less than 10 years. And if the global temperature goes up to 2%, talagang mamamatay ang lahat ng corals. At talagang this is an irreversible situation. So it can be doomsday for all of us. So we really need everyone to inform people of this emergency and the effect it will have, because we have such short a time, less than 10 years. And they say parang 0.5 degrees na lang ang natitira sa atin. So my question to all our resource speakers, how can we environmentalists talagang run to artists for their help? Paano ba na to really how can the artist help us in this kind of emergency that we want to convey to the world? So yun lang, thank you. That's my question.
Okay, she's begging for help.
Yes, yes, because
We
we have
did
projects and talaga ang
Yes, yes.
parang kailangan talaga,
I'm
di
just
ba?
stating the
Marie,
obvious.
you're in the communications committee.
Yeah,
Kailangan
yeah,
yata
I'm
eh.
just stating the obvious. We need help. And artists can give us a lot of help. So yes, we will listen to their answers later. The next question, please. Anyone?
We have a
Yes,
question
Cora.
from Miss Cora.
Sorry.
Ah,
I saw the hand of Sir Sander Bautista. Can we have him
oh,
first? And then we'll call
yes, and Cora Derihe.
Derihe. And then who else? Okay, Sander, and then Ma'am
Hello po.
Cora. Okay, let's hear Sander first.
Hello. Hello po.
Yes, Sander.
Hello po.
Yes, we can hear you, Sander.
Kay Ma'am Cora Guidote po. Paano po kami makaka-avail ng inyong mga photos para po mabigyan namin ng kopya itong mga taga Pulilio Island, lalong higit po itong taga Pulilio Island kasi yung sa pinakita ninyo sa Marine, napakalaki pong tulong niyan para maging aware ang mga mangingisda dito sa Pulilio Island. Sana
Okay.
po maka-avail kami para po maipamahagi namin at kung ano pa yung mga informasyon tungkol sa mga ipinakita ninyo sa Marine. Salamat po.
Thank you, Sander. Marie, can we call Ma'am Cora Derihe?
Yes, yes. Cora, go ahead.
Hi, I can just send you a copy of the PowerPoint that I made.
No,
so
you
if
don't
can-
answer it first. Cora Derihe muna.
Oh, I'm
She has
sorry.
a question.
Just
All
calling
the
me.
questions will be answered sa third portion.
Okay, sorry.
Cora Derihe wanted to ask a question. Pareho kasi kayo ng pangalan eh.
Tayo.
Cora, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Naririnig ako?
Yes po, yes.
Oo. First, I'd like to say that the pictures shown by Cora Guidote, Mike Tocayo, were very beautiful. I almost forgot that we are in a pandemic. But my question is this, no? Do we have an agency which can protect our coral reefs? Because there might be some people who are up to destroy them, whether the people who are adventurous or the people or even people from outside the country, because they're so beautiful and our fishes need them. They make use of our coral reef. So I'm just concerned that there could be an agency that can protect our coral reefs. Meron ba?
Ang sumagot ay sumagot na si Joey Ayala. So,
Okay, next question, please.
this is
We have 6 galleries and we cannot see all of you. So please click the raise hand button or call our attention through the chat box.
Or Shafi, can you see them? Please alert us if you see any raised hand. Any
You
questions?
can use the reaction
Sandra
sign.
Bautista.
That's right.
That's right. You can use the reaction sign to raise your hand,
We have a
or
question
you can use the
in the
chat
chat
box.
Yes, there
Joey,
are
this is my
3 or
email.
4 questions in the
And
chat box.
naman
Before we
email
read
ad.
those questions, anyone else from the gallery who would like to verbalize their questions? Anyone else? Marie, tell me, when should I read those questions in the chat box?
Yeah, I think may mga nag-uusap sa chat box. It's very interesting. Joey is offering his help to Sander, things like that. And I find it so interesting. So, riveting yung mga messages dito. But anyway, please go ahead and read the questions. from the
Sir
chat.
Carla, sorry, there's one more question from the gallery po.
Okay.
Okay.
Tanong na ako.
Please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon po for the Green Convergence. Yes. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong ito na nakasama po ako sa inyo in this forum. So isa po itong pribilehiyo para sa akin. Ako po ay si Nympha from the DepEd Division of Taguig City and Pateros. So a member of UNESCO Academy. So ako po ay isang guro sa isang public school. Nag-handle po ako ng ESP or Values Education sa high school. So ang tanong ko po sa lahat ng speakers, bilang guro po, paano po kaya ako makakagawa ng isang proyekto, isang aktibong proyekto para po mai-disseminate ko sa aking mga mag-aaral o mai-relay ko po sa kanila at magkaroon kami ng isang programa ng kahit na maliit bilang isang tulong kumbaga sa aming paaralan para makatulong po sa ating mga environmentalists bilang sa simpleng pamamaraan. Ano po kaya maaari yung aming magagawa bilang guro at mag-aaral sa mga ganito pong pangyayari sa nangyayari sa kalikasan natin. Hindi lang po sa marine life, kundi po ngayon po ang pinaka-trending kasing issue is about the Sierra Madre. So yun po yung namin sa academe, sa edukasyon. Paano ano ba yung magiging role namin dito? So aside from doing our program activities, project proposal in our school, paano naman kami lalabas since pandemic po ngayon? So ano po kaya yun? So I need some advice. Thank you po. Thank you.
Naku, salamat for the offer, no? Kasi yung mga initiatives na ganyan masarap pakinggan na there are people who want to do something, and tama, we should get together and alamin natin kung paano yan. So mamaya hintayin natin yung mga sagot, no? Meron pang katanungan? Ako may tanong sa isang participant, Albert Gavino. Kilala ko yan si Albert eh. Meron kang Green Theater? Albert? Can you hear me, Albert? I'm interested in your Green Theater. Sige, kung hindi mo ako natidinig, if you stepped out, kasi nakita kita eh. Like, nasa film din ito si Albert, so there's a lot of things you can do, actually. So let's get together, okay? So, Carlo,
yes.
basahin mo na mga questions sa chat box.
Well, actually, these questions are visible to all of us, and that includes our speakers. But still, let me read this. No, I'll start from the bottom. Okay. From Rene Molina. Rene? Ikaw ba yung kaibigan namin?
Yes, he's from New Zealand.
Yes, yan si Rene Molina. Our friend. Alam mo ba si Rene? Hi, Rene. Si Rene was one of the originals sa Kamayan para sa kalikasan before he left for New Zealand.
Yeah, okay. So
early days from New Zealand,
question from Rene. Paano ba makakatulong ang isang OFW katulad ni Rene? Okay. And then, the other question, sige, I'll read first the question and then later on the messages or the thoughts. Okay, from Sophia Nikdao of NU, National University Tourism Society. My question is this. For the speakers, in your own opinion, which do you think is the type of action that is more effective for the youth taking small steps in participating with the improvement of environment or taking part in bigger events such as marches, campaign, etc.? So tatlo na yung question. Yung isa ano magagawa ng guro, yung isa ano magagawa ng OFW, ito naman ano magagawa ng mga kabataan. Okay, let's have the other questions. From Rainy, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Rainy Dolatre. How may we contact or reach out to any of all of these artists to request them to help in spreading word about not just planting any tree, but planting our country's own native trees? Mga contact information na hinihingi nito. makikipag-chat sa inyo. Okay, let me still look for other questions. Please help me if I missed you. Call my attention if I missed your questions. Okay. Uh,
Nagbabasa lang tayo ng ano, chat box.
okay. Too many
This is a
business. These are all positive vibes. I saw one
yeah.
on top. Okay. From Olivia Celeste Villafuerte. We talk about maintaining balance of nature. The question is, do these sea critters help in this? Do they serve also as food for the other underwater creatures? I think these are all the questions. All the rest are sharing of reflections and thoughts.
Sir Carlo, there are two new questions po in the chat box.
Okay, thank you, Shopee. So let me read the last one. I'll go up from there. May I ask if there are activities or events that artists converge for climate emergency event? And then from there, I'll
Like
go
that.
to the question from Albert Gabino, and then I'll go to the question of Sophia Nikdao. My question is, from someone who is not well aware of their inner artistry, but is very much interested in art, how would you know if you're optimizing your artistry? And then going back, I think no more. Okay, so are our speakers ready to answer all of them or probably some of them? It's up to you. So Marie?
Okay. Paano? Sagutan na. No more questions eh. We'll ask
We
the...
will read the comments later if we still have the time, huh? Okay. Because
Yeah,
they are
yeah.
all
Let's...
they are all worthwhile to share.
Yeah. You know, you can answer all the questions if you like. Kahit hindi directed sa any of you, but you have the answer or you think you can help with the answer, please do so. So, who do we start with? Do we start with the lady, Cora first? Cora?
Okay, thank you for all the questions and the feedback that I got. First of all, on climate change, when Nina actually invited me to give the talk, I told her that at least based on my experience, the one that really threatens marine life is not climate change, but more of human behavior, no? Because there's no relationship. We're detached from marine life. We don't know how the seas behave. We're not even aware of the symbiotic relationship between the corals and the fish. So, at saka yung fishing behavior, no, mga fishermen, a lot of the fishermen, you'll be surprised, don't even swim and see what's underneath. You know, they just harvest. So, hindi nila nakikita yung ganda sa ilalim. At saka kung ano nga yung relationship ng mga isda sa isa't isa. Kasi kailangan natin kausapin yung mga isda rin eh. Yung sa Fiji, ang natutunan ko doon, you know, yung mga man-eating sharks, they don't even eat the fish feeders, no? The divers feed the sharks. Eventually, they were able to establish a relationship with these sharks and the sharks began to thrive. Dati isang tiger shark lang nakikita nila or pumupunta sa kanila. Ngayon, there are 5. So at least at the time that I went. And these sharks don't hurt them.
Go ahead.
So, and then on the copies of the photos, the guy from Polillo Island can please email me na lang his contact details so I can give him a copy of my presentation. Yung sa coastal protection, like I said, we have one of the longest coastal area, no? Kasi archipelago tayo. So each island is surrounded by coast. So while you have the coast guards, you have the different barangays that protect the coastal areas. If these people, well, first of all, yung coast guards natin kulang sa resources. So there was a time when I was in El Nido and I heard that there were these Taiwanese boats that harvested several or hundreds of turtles, mga pawikans, with their nets. And I was just really devastated. And the Coast Guards couldn't do much because the boats of these Taiwanese fishermen had 2 engines, yung Coast Guard natin iisa. So they can't even hope to chase these boats, you know. And it's just really sad that we have these limited resources to protect our coastal areas. So again, it depends on each and every barangay to be aware of the wealth that they have underwater. So education for me is the best tool to protect, kasi at saka immersion, no? Immersion, which means that you get to know what the relationships are and establish that relationship with the creatures themselves. Kasi that's the only way you can really protect them, and then, you know, God will also protect if you protect, ganyan. So parang it's a circular thing. And then what educational programs? Well, immersion is the best. So if you can, if for teachers, you know, you bring students outside, don't teach them in the classroom. Kasi what will they learn in the classroom kung hindi nila na-experience yung buhay ng mga creatures na yon, at saka ma-appreciate yung beauty, no? Kasi iba yung litrato, iba yung actual, you know. Kaya when I showed the pictures, hindi ko pinakita isa-isa eh. I group them so that you can see the diversity. Otherwise, hindi nyo ma-appreciate yung pa isa-isa. Kasi napaka-diverse talaga ng dagat natin. Yung mga OFWs, there are different ways of helping out. Well, first is, since you're so far away, one is just plain advocacy by sharing information. Second is funding NGOs who are protecting the environment. And third is probably you yourself participating in these efforts through advocacy. No? And then yung so trees, I can't say much because my advocacy is more on marine awareness. In terms of the balance of nature of these critters, sa ilalim ng dagat, size matters eh. Kaya nga may kanya-kanya silang self-defense, di ba? So yung mga nudibranchs, the way they protect themselves is colors. Kasi pagka striking ang colors, ibig sabihin pagka kinain sila, toxic, may poison yung katawan nila. So, but there are some species who can still feed on them. Yung mga nudibranchs, may iksi lang ang life cycle niyan eh, which means na they are really there to feed certain species, but I don't know what species actually feed on them. And then palaki ng palaki. So, the smaller, yung pinakamaliit ang pinaka-vulnerable. Kaya madalas nagtatago sila sa corals. Ganyan. So, and then palaki ng palaki. Yung mga schooling fish naman, the way they protect themselves is they move collectively. So, yung pinakamahina dun sa school, yun yung kinakain ng mga malalaking isda. So, ganon. So, size matters. The one that kind of breaks the cycle, kaya huli ko siyang pinakita, is the whale shark, because the whale shark eats the smallest thing, yung krill at saka yung plankton. So, parang, and then it goes back, no, to the cycle of life goes back. So there are laws of nature that exist in marine life, and I'm very fortunate to be able to observe that.
Okay. Is that all the questions?
Well, I kind of summarized it kasi yung iba medyo similar.
Medyo similar yung question. That's the idea. Eh. That's why we put together all the questions. It's more time efficient that way. So next, shall we? Okay, Leon, what is your take on this? What do you have to say?
Hi. Yung how can artists help environmentalists, I think is a question I get a lot since I do events like this, since I did events like this. And I think artists can help emotionally communicate. It's really easy to get lost in facts, and don't get me wrong, the facts are really, really important. They're probably as equally or more important than emotional communication. But I think it completes how we cross the message of how important the things we're talking about are. It communicates to us on a personal level. Parang of how we see poems. Um, we could read the same poem and receive them differently because that's how we're wired and that's how we're built. And that's how I think artists could help environmentalists. Kanina nabanggit ni Sir Dingdong na um the personalities, they simplified the information. I don't think poetry does that though. I think poetry opens the information to a lot of interpretation on a personal and emotional level that you could be involved um or you can evolve yourself emotionally. Uh and another question that I caught is how do you know if you're not into art yet but you want to go into it, how do you know if you're optimizing your artistry? Um One of my mentors always say that you just, cling to your perception of beauty and bewilderment. Um the world is as beautiful as it could be already. You just have to watch out. There's this poem that says, a heart of a blue whale is big enough to house a full human standing up. And sometimes bees uh, sleep, fall asleep when they're collecting nectar. Um, and these are not metaphors or figurative speech. They're just facts that nature has built already, and this will always prove that nature will always be ahead of poets, and that's okay. We just follow we just follow nature, and then we get to write about it. And I think that's what um I feel the importance of what we're doing as poets is to connect that from perception to reader uh poetically, and have it open enough for personal interpretation. And lastly, yung I'd be happy to do more of these. I've personally committed myself to be available as much as I can. So if you want to work with,
Wow.
I would be happy to work with you. Just message me through Instagram. Um, I've learned the hard way that contact numbers are not fun to give away. But Instagram Instagram is easy to filter, so just message me via Instagram.
Okay. Thank you, Leon. And now we're going to listen to Joey.
Oh,
Sige na, Joey. Madami
okay.
kang gustong sabihin no?
Siyempre, ako pa.
Ikaw pa.
My first major public performance was for a captive audience.
Oh?
Literally, presohan eh. Hindi sila makaalis. Nakakulong sila. Ang isang I have a fantasy. It's an artistic or a fictional fantasy. Kasi ang climate change and all our environmental problems are global in nature,
Yeah.
which suggests we must evolve a global management system, diba? That means we must evolve a global political perspective, diba? Which means lahat ng ginagastos sa armas, actually dapat linagak na yan sa environment. Tapos erase na yung mga national boundaries. Yun yung aking fantasya. Yung kanta ni John Lennon, Imagine There's No Country.
Yes.
Palagay ko kaya pinatayan eh. Too much, too soon, yung kanyang sinasabi. But now with internet, no, the structure for developing a consciousness that is global in nature is already there. We're just maybe we're not looking at it that way. We are the bees that are still asleep while we're gathering pollen to connect to the image that Leandro shared. Natauhan ako dyan yung una kong experience sa Waze. Waze. Kasi ang isang nakita ko sa nature and looking at human problems is itong neoliberal attitude na the importance of the individual, human rights and all that. It's good, no, in the sense na luciferic nga maliwanag siya. But it's also negative in situations where you need to think like a bee. You need a hive mind. You need a mentality that considers the whole organism and not the individual. And that's what I meant by that balance of contradictory ideas, which cannot exist without each other. They are actually a unity that are seemingly in opposition. Parang ganun. So, yung technology ngayon, itong internet, ito na yung extension ng kamalayan ng tao na pwede nang connect. And it's making many things obsolete. And I think national government functions, at least in relation to the environment, obsolete na. Baka yung Department of Environment and Natural Resources, baka dapat buong mundo ang pinag-uusapan dyan. It can be a department that everyone, parang United Nations kasi extension ng World War II yan di ba? Yung mga nanalo, parang ganun. Ito World Government. Yun yung version ng post-World War II World Government. Kailangan natin ng present-day version ng World Government. Maybe you don't call it that kasi madami napipreak out pag sinabing government But government is just resource management naman Di ba? The most important document you have from the government is what? Your birth certificate and your passport, and maybe your death certificate. Your beginning, your movement in between, and then your ending. Yun lang naman ang pinaka-basic functions niya. And that can be done by a fictional agency. In fact, government is fictional, but since we all believe it, parang matrix tayo naka-plug in sa reality na yun. Naniniwala tayo doon. Pero through history, kung kahit yung skim ka lang ng history, makikita mo naman all the great ideas, all the great human structures, lahat naman yan ay nabulok at namatay. Dumating yan ng a certain level of obsolescence na pag hindi niya binago ang sarili niya, mawawala siya. Ang daming relihiyon na ganyan. Ano yung mga nagsusurvive na religion? Yung marunong mag-adapt. Yung may element of liberalism, may wiggle room ng konti para buhay siya ng mabuhay. Pag wala siyang ganun, magiging suicidal siya. Diba? The extreme faith leads to some sort of human sacrifice. Which is, again, part of that unity of opposites, divine, everlasting life, kamatayan. Ganun lang naman yun. Natural yan sa ideas natin. Even the way we structure art and narrative, diba? Laging bugbog ang good. Sa sine, bugbog ang good, bugbog. Pero sa dulo, aahon siya. That's the only way we can live. We can only live with that sort of narrative. Ang tawag dyan yung meta-myth. Lahat ng kwento sa buong mundo, Harry Potter, Jesus Christ, Wizard of Oz, lahat yan, isa lang ang pattern niya. Yung mga oral history ng tribo, India, yung sasakay ng bangka, lilipad papuntang langit, lahat ng pattern, puro ganyan. So part na yan ng psychology natin. So whether it's real or not, we have to think that way. Now, we are good, binubugbog tayo, pero sa bandang dulo, winner. Parang gano'n. That's the only way you keep sane. Kasi kung wala kang gano'n, wala na, papakamatay ka.
Happy ending.
Diba? Paggamit ka sa iba, you work your whole life, and then when you're tired, you die because you have nothing to live for anymore. Wala kang shining path to glory ba? Walang Lucifer. Because you could be wrong, di ba? You could be wrong, but you need it. You need to do something like that.
You could be wrong, you could also be right.
Oh.
There's always that possibility.
And either way, they both create reality and it's fine.
Okay, so Joey, yung sinasabi mo nga, I have a question actually for all of you. Leanne has already answered it. yung sinasabi mong it's a global problem, you know, we have to learn to be one, di ba? Magkakaugnay lahat sa isang buong mundo. So,
Practical steps.
art is really a good means of communication kasi it's a universal language. It speaks to the heart and doesn't have, you know, grammar, etc. and all that, no? So,
Fantasya ko, yung coral triangle.
whether
diba?
it's dance,
yung coral triangle,
theater,
paligiran ng ano yan. Sorry
dance,
paligiran ng
theater,
military
music,
base ng lahat ng buong bansa.
Poetry, talagang ano yan, it goes straight to the heart. So, this is the weapon, the communication, weapon of communication that is really very effective. So, ang question ko, we are toying with a very big project that you know requires a lot of work. So Green Convergence and other organizations. And communication is my assignment. So this is self-serving. So I would like to ask, since Leon has already said he's willing to and ready to help, was this Dingdong has assured me that he will help. And so I now ask Joey, if you and Cora would be willing to, you know, like have an exploratory Zoom meeting to see how we can put this all together and create a communication sort of for the environment.
Exciting yan.
Pa, diba? I mean,
may fantasya ako dun eh. Fantasya. I have a fantasy. It's a geopolitical fantasy.
Yes. So,
yung
but everything, yung mga nangyayari naman, nanggagaling sa fantasy eh. Every big change comes from fantasy. Magaling tayo dyan eh, sa pag-fantasize. So,
yung lakas loob, nakakatakot mag-dive sa may shark.
So, Joey, do I take that
nagpapantasya ka,
as a
makakita
yes?
ka ng pating eh, di ba?
Joey, so, do I take that as a yes? Can I, you know,
do I look like I'm having fun?
Sige okay
Okay.
Cora, same?
Let's explore how I can help.
Oo. Kasi yung, alam mo yung imagery, yung di ba yung a picture says 1,000 words, totoo yun eh. No?
Yes.
So, yeah, so if you will help, you're willing to, you know, meet with other artists and we can try to come up with a scheme to communicate with our larger society more effectively.
Green Party of the Philippines.
Kasi Marie, Marie, one thing I'd like to stress is disconnected tayo sa nature eh. Kasi lalo ngayon sa pandemic, kinukulong tayo sa bahay natin.
Exactly.
Hindi na natin nahahawakan ng lupa at ang dagat.
We have to bring the mountain to the person inside his house.
Lumabas tayo, mag-reconnect tayo sa nature at aralin natin ang ugali ng mga hayop at saka mga creatures at saka mga puno para malaman natin kung paano natin sila poprotektahan. Kasi kung hanggat disconnected, kasi yung mga ninuno natin very connected.
Yes, true.
Diba? At that time.
Magkakaugnay nga eh. Joey, di ba? Magkakaugnay talaga.
So, pinalimutan yun yung whatever our ninuno knew in the past, pati mga healing techniques ng mga galing sa puno at saka mga herbs. You know, nakalimutan natin. Now, kung ma-reconnect tayo sa nature, then we can help them thrive and be sustained.
Yes, thank you. Tapos itong si Albert Gavino, he has a theater group. Mukhang he's also asking how he can help. So we can call on him also. And the other people here, participants who have signified a willingness and readiness to be involved. Thank you so very much. And you receive an email from me soon. Thank you. And then, so magko-closing na tayo, Carlo. I think we want to hear your last words.
Just a minute before we close this forum. I just would like to mention that there's this message, actually a direct message, asking how can she, by the way, this is from Rainy, the niece of Ime Sarmiento. She's asking how she can contact the our guest artist and probably their connections, other artists as well. Uh, Probably Rainy and the other people here who have the same interest can contact the Secretariat of Green Convergence so
Yes.
that you can be officially linked by Green Convergence to our guest here. We cannot just post in public
Right.
their I mean, in their information, just like what Leon said earlier. But you can contact, of course, Leon through his Instagram. And then let me also reiterate that for those who would like to have a certificate of attendance, please connect with the Secretariat of Green Convergence. Actually, you can email the Secretariat through the chat box now. Indicate that you would like to have a certificate of attendance, indicate your full name and your email address. What else? Some people are also interested to be part of the loop. Marie, probably you can go back, I mean, through the help of the Secretariat, go back to the
Yes.
and take note of those email addresses that they have shared because they would like to be
Uh-huh.
part still of our future campaign. Okay, what else? I hope Sir Joey was able to read the comment of Anne Leah, just in case not. She said she joined the Philippine Eagle Foundation because of Sir Joey Ayala's song. Uh, okay, so there's also a request here for me to read the comment of Armin Amistad. Mabilis lang ito. Sabi niya,
Uh-uh.
music is a liquid architecture. It must adapt to the current era. Most of the people now want a contemporary style of houses than a bahay kubo or bahay na bato. Sana yung mga songwriters or music organizations like Philpop ay makagawa ng new songs na kayang makipagsabayan sa hilig ng mga kabataan ngayon na may theme about environment and the climate emergency. I think I was able to cover all the important messages in the chat box. For those that I wasn't able to mention, so sorry. I apology. Okay, so
Okay. Yes. You can now give your huling
okay.
habilin.
Wag
Huling
naman huling
hirit.
habilin.
Huling, huling hirit. Just for this
Okay.
session.
Ayoko
Huling
pang
hirit.
dumako pa roon sa malayo. Anyway, I just would like to say that, there is an ecological crisis, but there is definitely a solution. But the movement from here to there requires our participation. And we have a role to play. And today we have heard how our artists engage themselves toward the attainment of our shared vision. uh, let's have their narratives be our inspiration and hope. And if I may quote Sir Joey's words earlier, sabi niya, our songs are like seeds that need to be planted. And if I may add, this song as seeds need to be planted in good soil and nourished so that it will grow and eventually bear fruits. And for as long as there are films and photos and poems and songs that steer change, regardless of how small it is, there will be seeds of hope. So thank you, Marie, for making me your usual
Thank
partner.
you, Carlo. That was very profound.
Okay,
I
so
love
bye,
this
everyone.
session. This
Okay.
session has touched me on many levels, emotional, spiritual, memories. Yung sinasabi ni Joey kanina lang na sa lagubang, naalala ko yung lolo ko. Kasi dati, dun sa summer house namin in Zambales, yung mga sa lagubang dumidikit sa cover ng piano. Yung cloth cover. Tapos alam mo ba, niluluto yun ng lolo ko, kinakain namin maluto.
Ilocano lolo mo?
Oo. So alam mo yung mga biglang memories ng childhood, yung pag-akit sa puno. Tapos yung
Oo.
yung mga
Yung
poems
Ilocano yan.
ni
Nanay ko Ilocano eh.
Ayan, tapos yung pictures ni Cora. Alam mo, parang wow, para akong nagbiyahe, nagbakasyon, nagmeditate. So I really feel even more that artists can do a lot more uh, in shaping the consciousness of the people. No? Hindi kasi, yung tao rin ang magbabago ng sarili niya eh. Pero yung trigger ng tao para magbago, manggagaling yun sa puso, manggagaling yun sa emotion. And pag, di ba yung karinig ka ng music, nothing brings me back in time like music eh. Pag nakarinig ka ng music of the 19 kopong, bumabalik ka sa time na yun, di ba? Ganun yun eh. Pag yung mga music ng marches namin nung time ng martial law, wow, talagang nationalism, biglang bumabalik, no? Tapos yung pictures, wow, pag nakita mo, oh, these are the things I don't want to lose. These are our treasures. But if you don't know that you have those treasures, you don't fear losing these things, no? So hindi ka mag-aalaga hindi ka conscious, no? So and yung poetry, dance, music, that's the food of the soul. So that triggers the emotions, the actions that will bring about the transformation, local, national, global, Joey, that we dream of. So thank you very much to our guest speakers, to Dingdong, even if he's not here, to Cora, Leon, and Joey. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Don't go away. At the end of the session, we're going to have a screenshot, souvenir photo natin yan of this session. And I would like to remind you that the next Kamayan is on February 19th. And so, as always, the president of Green Convergence has the last word. Let us listen to Dr. Nina Galan.
Wow, this has been a very exciting session, and I'm sure everyone will agree. Well, as Marie always does, she takes advantage of every opportunity. She was already asking for help from the artists, but maybe this is one we can already introduce the project that she is referring to, and this is our what we call Quantum Leap Carbon Neutrality 2050. Joey was talking about the environmental problematic as being global, and definitely it is. And so the whole world should be carbon neutral, meaning our carbon sources should be equaled, if not over equaled by our carbon sinks. Otherwise, we will really go beyond the point of no return in our crisis, our climate crisis. So the whole world should be carbon neutral by 2050. The Philippines is not obligated to be, but we would like that to be our vision. Because in many ways, by going carbon neutral, we will also be solving many of our problems. If you examine all the aspects of environmental issues. So think about it already, our guest artists. You will hear more about it. Probably next Kamayan might be on that, but we're still developing it, no? Anyway, well, we've been here for exactly 3 hours, and we have run through the whole gamut of environmentalism. Knowledge, awareness, inspiration, action. Cora definitely gave us the knowledge. It's not, of course, only cerebral, but definitely it touched our hearts, our minds, our beings. The beauty of God's creation was just there, no? And then the threats to it, she also gave. And what has happened to the Philippine eagle, which declined in numbers. The mining, the threats of mining to our ecosystems, destructive fishing practices. So our awareness of the dangers was delivered to us, and very strongly action taken by our guests was forcefully also brought to us, that they are here, they are helping, they are doing their thing, and they have inspired us to do our thing. Most of all, the relationships that the connectivities that we all desire they're already starting. People are asking for the numbers of our artists, and definitely we will be connecting more with each other in our future activities and webinars. So, and finally, as Joey said, we are optimists. Environmentalists are optimists. If we didn't think that there was hope at the end of the tunnel, light at the end of the tunnel, we wouldn't be here. But our little successes push us on. Challenges and defeats make us stronger, I think. But because of all these our experiences, we have decided that it's time for our country to take a quantum leap, and hopefully we will all work on this together. So again, thank you, Cora, Leanne, Joey, and Dingdong. Please, if one of his staff is watching, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for this very beautiful session. Thank you. See you next week, next month.
Screenshot. Shafi, are you ready for the screenshots?
Yes. Okay. Can we request everyone to turn on your web cameras if you'd like to be part of the batch picture? This will be posted on the Green Convergence Facebook page. So while waiting for everyone to turn on their cameras, I'd like to remind that all requests for the certificate of participation have been taken note of, and please expect the Secretariat to contact you within the week. All right, I think everyone's cameras are on now. I'll be taking 6 pictures since we're a lot, so just look at the camera and just smile. Okay po. First batch, 1, 2, 3. Next. 1, 2, 3. Next batch. 1, 2, 3. Next batch. 1, 2, 3. And last batch. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you po.
Thank you, Shafi.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Salamat.
Cora, thanks a lot. Leanne,
Thank you, everyone.
Salamat,
Vicky.
Nina.
Vicky, thank you for bringing your students. Si Vicky ba yun? Vicky,
Yeah. Hi, Vicky. Hi. Bye-bye. Thank you, Lina.
this was a very good session
Thanks.
for the youth, for your students.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye.
I'm giving the students an exam.
This was so good, that their first session, perfect for the youth.
Yes.
If this were not pandemic, dali mo sila sa ano. So all those dive sites.
Ay, of course. Dapat marami na kaming field trip. Now I have to be contented with just case analysis.
Yeah.
Nina,
Well, yeah.
Nina, the webinar I was talking to you about was approved by National University. So I'm going to talk to you about it. We're sponsoring a webinar. It's a joint project of the events class and my class, which is the environmental conservation.
Okay.
So I'm going to message you the details.
Sige. Let me know what topic, what perspective you want me to take.
Okay.
All right. Hi,
Thank you.
Sander. Nice to see you.
Sander.
from Polillo.
Hello po. Welcome po kayo sa Pulilio Island. Kapag tapos ng pandemya, mag-island hopping po tayo at welcome kayo sa aming maliit na farm.
Maganda ba corals dyan? Magandang corals?
May maganda po, merong hindi. Mahirap, yun po. Kasi ngayon, napakahirap mag-advocate kasi minsan kalaban pa yung mga nasa LGU. Kaya napakahirap. Pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin kahit yung patuloy na nanganganib ang buhay. Pero yun nga, lagi ko po sinasabi, there's a God na patuloy na gagabay sa akin. At nung isang araw lang, almost isang barangay ang gusto mag-hunt sa akin, pero lumalabas din ako, nakikipag-usap ako kahit galit sila. Pero mas okay na yon kasi
Bakit sila galit?
Ingat ka dyan.
kasi po basta po mayroong God. Yan. Yan po kasi po yung mga ginagawa nila, mga illegal na ginagawa. At isa rin sa bagay noon yung mga hindi pagsunod sa protocol ng pamahalaan about sa COVID-19. At all over na pinupuntahan ko dito sa lugar dito, talagang hindi sumusunod.
Oh, wow.
Pero
Malakas
yun po yung number one.
Malakas ba ang pandemic?
Ay wala po naman dito kasi karamihan po sa mga isla, sa mga liblib na lugar ay hindi naniniwala about sa COVID-19. Kasi natural lang na trangkaso yan. Pero yun nga, kung totoo man yan at may nakapasok, talagang delikado. There's a lot of evidence na nakuha ko, pero hindi ko inilabas kasi ako mismo yung number one kinakalaban nila. Kaya they need to manahimik na lang. Tapos yun, nagpapasalamat din ako kasi bago po ako maka-attend ulit dito sa webinar na ito, almost more than 1 hour na travel. Kailangan gumastos ng almost 700 pesos.
Wow.
1,000 plus para maka-attend. Kasi nga po napakahirap ng signal sa amin. At nakakaranas din po ako minsan ng discrimination about sa NTC. Kasi once na nagsasalita ako tungkol sa kalikasan, tungkol sa pagkasira ng kalikasan at sa government, ay nai-interrupt. Kaya yung pakiusap din ng iba kong kaibigan, tahimik muna. Pero mahirap po kasing tumahimik eh. Sabi nga ng mga nakakasama kong mga pastor, napakalakas ng loob, pero yun nga po, lagi ko sinasabi, merong God na laging pumapatnubay sa akin. At yung ano man yung interes sa buhay ko, yun, pinagpapasalamat ko sa Diyos. Dahil alam ko, lagi nandyan. At thanks po sa lahat na nagpipray sa akin, especially po sa lahat ng member ng Green Convergence, Tita Marie. Salamat po sa inyo po. Sa mga board of trustee ng Green Convergence, salamat po sa inyo. Kasi naunawaan din ninyo ako kung anong kalagayan ko sa hirap ng internet. Nakakapag-send ako ng mga pictures, pero yung pakikipag-ugnay napakahirap pa rin po. So, pero I need na pumunta na rin muna sa Manila by March.
Hang up na siya.
Oh. Well, thank God for Zoom. At least nakaka-join ka.
Hang up na siya, mahina na yan. Ano?
Okay, thank you very much.
Salamat sa inyo. God bless po. Happy New Year.
Ingat ka ha.
Lagi po. Salamat po sa mga pray ninyo.
Okay. Vic, nagdala ka ng mga students? Vicky? Wala na. Okay, God bless everyone.